The first time the police knocked on Doria Ragland's door, it wasn't for a wellness check. It wasn't for a noise complaint. And it certainly wasn't because someone in her quiet Los Angeles neighborhood thought she needed assistance. It was something far more serious. Something darker. Something that, if true, could unravel the carefully constructed image of the British royal family and send shockwaves through both Buckingham Palace and Montecito. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Doria didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't even ask why they were there. Instead, she said something that made one of the officers freeze in his tracks. "I knew you'd come. I didn't want to do this, but Meghan left me no choice." Wait, what? A royal family member. A mother. A so-called grandmother to two children the world can barely confirm exist. And now, a woman admitting she's part of a plot that could involve stolen money, fake companies, and a paper trail that leads straight to King Charles's own treasury? What if the most shocking betrayal of King Charles wasn't from his son, but from the woman who once smiled beside him at a royal wedding, only to quietly help funnel his money into a shell company built on lies? You think you've heard the worst? Oh no, this goes deeper. Because this isn't just about money. It's about power, betrayal, and the lengths people will go to in order to fund an escape plan, especially when that plan includes a duchess running from royal scrutiny and a mother with a freshly inked LLC. Let's rewind. When Meghan Markle stepped away from the royal family, she promised independence, financial freedom, a break from the institution. And in the beginning, the world applauded her. A fairy tale gone rogue. A princess reclaiming her voice. But as the dust settled, things started to not add up. Lavish homes, private jets, mounting lawsuits, million-dollar deals that never materialized, and a mysterious eldercare company registered to Doria Ragland that no one could quite explain. How did this business even exist without a single patient? No staff, no medical records, no client history, and yet, money, real money, was flowing through its accounts. That's when the whispers started. A former financial advisor who once worked with King Charles flagged unusual transactions. Funds marked as wellness partnerships disappeared into US-based accounts with vague business purposes. At first, it seemed like nothing more than accounting oddities, until a curious name popped up on one of the transfers, Ragland Senior Care Solutions LLC. It was then that someone in London picked up the phone and said, "We need to talk to the Americans." And this story? This isn't tabloid trash. This isn't some gossipy blog post dressed up in royal fantasy. No, this is about a real confession, a police report, and the explosive possibility that Meghan Markle, yes, the Duchess of Sussex herself, may have used her mother as a financial proxy to hide money funneled from the crown. But why now? Because the cracks are finally showing. Doria's company is under investigation. Multiple anonymous tips have surfaced, and there are whispers, credible whispers, that law enforcement found digital receipts, burner emails, and hidden wire transfers tied to Meghan herself. The timing couldn't be worse, or more perfect, depending on who you ask. Because just as King Charles is trying to restore stability to a monarchy rocked by scandal after scandal, his son's wife may be sitting on a financial time bomb that began ticking the moment they moved to Montecito. And it all comes back to a simple, chilling statement. She needed out. Fast. And I helped. That's what Doria allegedly told the officer after hours of quiet resistance. She didn't confess out of guilt. She confessed out of exhaustion. Now think about this. Imagine you're King Charles. You've already endured Megxit. You've already weathered Oprah, the Netflix documentaries, the Spare memoir. And just when you thought the dust was finally settling, an investigation lands on your desk implicating your daughter-in-law and her mother in a scheme to steal royal funds? It's not just humiliating. It's treasonous. But let's dig deeper. Because behind every scandal is a trail, and behind this one is a labyrinth of forged signatures, company registrations, wire transfers labeled as community reintegration programs, and a web of contacts leading from California yoga studios to luxury lawyers in Beverly Hills. And at the center, a mother, a daughter, and a desperate escape from the crown. So here's what we know so far. King Charles's financial team flagged transactions between 2020 and 2022. These transactions involved charities and trusts that Meghan had prior access to. Doria Ragland, during this time, quietly registered an eldercare company claiming to provide services in multiple California counties. No one, literally no one, has come forward to confirm they ever received care. The company received hundreds of thousands in mysterious transfers. And yet, Meghan claims she was building a new life on her own terms. Really? Because when we pulled the LLC documentation, something strange appeared. A name. A nickname, actually. One used only inside the royal family. It was buried in the signature box. Half scribbled. Maybe an accident. Maybe a message. But unmistakably hers. That's when everything changed. And Doria? She never expected it to go this far. Insiders say she was promised distance. That Meghan told her, this is just until the deal with Spotify closes. But the deal collapsed. So did Netflix's second round. And the public goodwill? That dried up even faster. So Doria was left holding the bag. And when police arrived, she finally cracked. Now the big question, did Meghan really know? Was this her idea? Or did her mother act alone, trying to protect a daughter spinning out of control? Either way, the law doesn't care. And this could be just the beginning. Because there are whispers about more companies. More shell LLCs registered in states like Delaware and Nevada, states known for secrecy. More evidence that suggests Meghan may have created a financial ecosystem that lived in the shadows while the public focused on podcasts and royal rifts. Why would a duchess, born into fame, marry into royalty, and blessed with global recognition, need to hide money? What was she planning? Or, more terrifyingly, what was she afraid of? Audience, I want you to think carefully. If a royal was secretly moving funds across borders, masking them behind her mother's name, using a fake eldercare company as the front, would we even know about it if one whistleblower hadn't spoken up? And if Doria really did confess, who else is ready to talk? You see, this story is about more than just the money. It's about the image, the brand, the lie, because the woman who said she wanted peace might have been planning war. And behind the scenes, quietly, softly, something sinister was unfolding. Documents, conversations, PayPal notes, a housekeeper's discovery, a storage unit with sealed boxes marked HRH, and a laptop. Yes, a laptop, reportedly pulled from Doria's safe with damning evidence tying everything back to Meghan. You want to know what's inside? So do we. Because according to sources close to the investigation, that laptop holds emails, real emails, between mother and daughter, discussing asset shielding, optics control, and one phrase that keeps coming up. Don't let them trace it. And here's the twist. They weren't talking about money. They were talking about names. People. That's right. This rabbit hole goes deeper than anyone expected. But what comes next? That's where the real storm begins. Because as the investigation unfolds, new players enter the scene. From Beverly Hills bankers to royal bodyguards, from charity executives to disillusioned friends, everyone has a piece. And when you put them together, the picture they form is terrifying. Now, I need you to ask yourself this. What would you do if you discovered your daughter used your name to commit financial fraud? Would you protect her? Or would you tell the truth? Because Doria made her choice. And the consequences? Well, you're about to see just how far they go. Because the next chapter? It starts with a trash bag, a ledger, and a name no one expected to see. And what comes next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever wondered what it takes for someone to risk everything? To pick up the phone, dial the police, and report a crime tied to one of the most powerful families in the world? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens when someone sees something they were never supposed to see. And that's exactly what happened when a janitor, working the late shift at a rundown commercial building in Inglewood, California, stumbled across a shredded ledger buried at the bottom of a trash bag. It was 2:13 a.m. The janitor, who's asked to remain anonymous, wasn't even supposed to be working that night. He was covering for a coworker who had a family emergency. Tired, overworked, and desperate to finish, he opened the trash bin behind Suite 102. A unit registered to Ragland Senior Care Solutions, LLC. It didn't look like much. Just an ordinary trash bag. Empty Starbucks cups. Napkins. Some printed emails. But then, something caught his eye. Shredded strips of thick paper. Not just regular receipts. Thicker. Almost like bond paper used in financial reports. Out of boredom more than suspicion, he began to piece them together on the janitor closet floor. That's when he saw it. Two names side by side. Ragland SCS, and CC. Discretionary allocation, Windsor accounts. Wait, Windsor? As in Windsor Castle? At first, he thought it was some kind of joke. A prank. Maybe a coincidence. But then more pieces started to fall into place. One column labeled transfers. Another labeled notes. An inscribbled pen, initials that sent a chill down his spine. Not just once. 6 times. So he did something most people wouldn't dare do. He made the call. The 911 dispatcher didn't believe him at first. Who would? A janitor claiming he found Royal Bank records in a California trash bag? But protocol is protocol. The report was filed. A local officer was dispatched to gather the materials. That's when the storm began. Because within 48 hours, LAPD quietly looped in federal financial crimes investigators. And behind closed doors, those shredded papers were reconstructed, analyzed, and flagged. One investigator would later tell a reporter off the record, "We didn't expect to see the name of a sitting monarch's financial channel on a paper tied to a so-called Eldercare company with no employees." Now pause. Ask yourself, how does a woman like Doria Ragland, whose only known profession was yoga therapy and social work, get access to a royal allocation account? Because according to those papers, money was being sent from UK sources labeled discretionary wellness outreach into US accounts tied to Ragland SCS in quarterly intervals. The amounts? Not pocket change. We're talking $62,000 here, $105,000 there, $140,000 in one batch listed as community equity restoration. What does that even mean? Here's the twist. None of it added up. There were no community events, no elderly patients receiving care, no outreach programs, no services, just bank accounts receiving large sums, and then draining them into what appeared to be a network of ghost companies across California and Nevada. And right in the middle, Doria. But it didn't stop there. Because when police requested surveillance footage from the building's landlord, hoping to confirm who had been accessing the office unit, the tapes revealed something no one expected. For nearly 2 years, the only people entering Suite 102 were Doria Ragland and a woman who looked suspiciously like Meghan Markle, wearing a hat, sunglasses, always arriving in the same black SUV with no license plate visible, always leaving within 20 minutes. No paperwork, no clients. Just 2 women and a locked briefcase. Every time. Now, maybe that's nothing. Maybe it's just a daughter visiting her mother. But one time-stamped clip from March 14th, 2022, shows the 2 women arriving together. Meghan appears to be talking on a phone. Doria unlocks the office door. Meghan looks around, then pulls out a manila envelope and hands it to her mother. The entire visit lasted 6 minutes. The contents of that envelope? Still unknown. But here's the question. If Meghan Markle was living her life in the public eye, claiming independence, making podcast deals, and filming documentaries, why was she sneaking into an eldercare office that never served a single patient? That's the moment things spiraled. Investigators began to piece together a timeline. That's where the contradictions started to jump off the page. According to official records, Doria's company claimed to employ 6 people in its 2021 filing. But no payroll was ever recorded. No tax withholdings. No employee benefit paperwork. Not only that, but the business claimed service locations in Santa Barbara, Compton, and San Bernardino. Guess how many actual visits were recorded at those locations? 0. Even stranger? All 3 service addresses were rented storage lockers under the name Greenrose Properties, LLC. Guess who filed Greenrose's registration documents? A woman named Rachel M. Mountbatten. Yes, you heard that right. That name raised eyebrows for multiple reasons. First, Meghan's real name is Rachel Meghan Markle. Second, Mountbatten is the surname used by male-line descendants of Prince Philip. So let's spell this out clearly. A company owned by Meghan's mother was routing money from King Charles's accounts under labels like Wellness Outreach. It funneled that money into an operation with no clients, then paid rent to a fake property company registered under a name eerily similar to Meghan Markle's, and signed using a royal surname. Coincidence? You tell me. But it was that signature that got the attention of the British Home Office. Because up until that point, this was just a shady American fraud case. Suspicious, yes, but maybe explainable. Then that name appeared. Suddenly, it became something more. Something international. Private calls were made. A royal accountant reportedly whispered to a senior aide, "There's no way she did this alone." And quiet.